Today's video, we're going to talk about MadgicX or MadgicX and why it is a joke of a software to use for managing and improving your Facebook ads, okay? This is not going to make you a return on your ad spend in and itself. If you're looking for that magic bullet, if you will, that'll make you more money, this is really not going to help you do it in and itself. And for that matter, if you do know what you're doing and you have the other tools that it actually takes to make money with Facebook ads, you're not going to also need it. So, and for the reasons I'm about ready to share on this particular video. So this is kind of like a review video as well. But mostly, I've talked about many times on this channel before how software, PPC software, ad software in general, they come and they go. I've been around for over a decade doing this. They come, you know, they're around for a while, then they go out. And then some other company comes up, and people trying to start software companies see all the money that can be made in the ad management world because there's so much money in it. But they're not useful at the end of the day. The ad platforms also change and then they become irrelevant. And this is really just going to be here and it's going to be gone tomorrow. If you're watching this video 5 years from now, you'll probably say, oh, well, he was right. I'm willing to bet my life savings on it that it won't be around. But with that said, if you want to know specifically why this is a waste of your money and waste of your time, I'm going to go through the elements of why that is on this particular video. So, but before I get into the content, if you do not know who I am yet, I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability up front, basically in excess of the management fee that we charge. We are the only agency out there who offers anything like this, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that we're sharing in today's video. So with that said, all PPC softwares are really only useful with huge accounts with tens of thousands of ads and or products that you're promoting, and even then it's questionable. Because there's a point where you do have an account, let's say Walmart wanted to start up an advertising account on Facebook. Obviously, it would not be manageable through humans. You need some sort of scripting to manage all the products and so on and so forth. That software really does come in handy for. But even in that occasion, I would be building my own custom software to manage my own ads if I had that kind of money into it and all that. So the software, and including this software, really where it shines, if it does shine at all, we'll say, is actually where you have, 100 different campaigns and you really despise paying attention to your ads, and your ads are already all well set up, and maybe you have somebody importing ads into your account for you and you're just monitoring the performance. Maybe it can be useful, but for anybody starting out trying to make money on the platform, it's basically useless, okay? And for that matter, even if you do have the ads going ready, you are making money, a good ad manager is going to do better, way better than what that software is going to provide you. The whole selling pitch of this software and other PPC softwares is, oh, you don't have to hire anybody or do anything to manage your ads. Just use this software and just go with the recommendations and you're good. You're gold already. And if it were only that easy, everybody would be freaking rich. If software is all it takes to make tons of money with ads, become a millionaire, why doesn't everybody, including your competitors, by the way, already use it versus using high-priced firms? Okay, and I'm not just saying that because we run a firm here. Literally speaking, do you think every single person who hires a Facebook ad agency is a complete dipshit and that they should be using the software because it's only $30 a month? Come on. I mean, there's something to be said. What this is a tool, putting the tool in the hands of the master already that already knows how to do everything manually and automates a little bit about what they're doing. I could justify that a little bit, but for people that don't know what they're doing and aren't an actual ad expert at the level of what somebody that just manages Facebook ads all day long is doing, it's, the tool is worthless, practically speaking. And I wanted to make this video to talk about specifics so you understand why it's useless, unless you already know all the little tips and tricks and everything else. And even then, it's pretty much worthless anyway, as is. So with that said, the claims to fame of MadgicX, or MadgicX, depending on how you pronounce it, first of all, is the recommendations. So the idea of these softwares, including this one, is to say, sit back, relax, let us just tell you what to do with your account, and then you just click approve on the recommendations. You're going to make more money on an ongoing basis. Completely not the truth. One of the type of recommendations they'll make, for instance, with the software is that they'll tell you to consolidate your ads. And for the most part, Facebook makes this recommendation as well, and they get the recommendations from them, but not solely from them. And the reality is sometimes it's good to consolidate your ad groups and your ads into, ads that you have into one ad group when you have multiple ad groups. sometimes it's not. Sometimes your ads aren't profitable, so you have to segment out. So you can find out what's profitable, what's not. Okay, once you already know what's profitable, what's not, I agree. Consolidating can actually help your ads out. This is the truth. But the software is not good enough to be able to identify, what your goals are ultimately. And understand things like, did the ad groups have enough testing data to understand if that particular audience that you're testing works or doesn't work, to know to consolidate it with your other campaign/ad group that has all the rest of your targeted audiences in it. A human's is going to be best to determine this. There's a time to separate it out. There's a time to not separate it out. And a human's going to be best to figure that out, not the software. Raising budget recommendations. So this is another one where it sounds great at surface level. Oh, it'll tell you exactly when to spend more money, so you could just churn out the freaking money like it's a money printing machine. And the reality is, if it says raise your budget on XYZ campaign because it's doing above average, you raise that budget, it's not going to produce the same ROI as it had before. The ROI is going to get worse. It's very much a dial. If the higher you raise your ad budget, the less the ROI is going to get, and vice versa. So when it says raise your budget, just expect you're not going to get the same ROI. The software just assumes that you're going to get a similar ROI if you crank up the budget, and that's not the case. Okay? So moving forward here, there's another feature that this software has, which is called stop losses. And this doesn't factor in the statistical significance in determining whether or not something is going to work or isn't going to work. So if you don't know what statistical significance is, you should Google it. If you're going to be good at running ads, you got to understand this. Somebody can run an ad and spend $100 on an ad, and that ad says you got a 2,000% ROAS, and it looks like you're going to be, Bill Gates here in no time. But the reality is, if you were to run that ad, instead of spending $100, you'd spend $10,000 on it. The ROAS would be 58% because you got lucky. You hit on your first 100 clicks or so, you hit a sale, and that made your ROAS look better than what it was. And that's down to the law of averages, and statistical significance tells you whether or not what you're running or whatever you're testing is actually likely to hold true in the future or not, because there's enough data behind that test or whatever you're experimenting to actually have valid results that you could rely on. With that said, the stop loss tool will actually say, okay, if an ad has had only this much ROAS posit, well, a lot of times the ad would get the ROAS if you wanted. If you would have gave it a little bit more time, you got to run it for so long to know what the results are. Can look good, vice versa, something can look good, but it's not going to be good if you kept running long term. The software is not factoring any of this stuff in there into the equation, but more important than that is the ads get better with time. So if the software says, we'll pause any ad for you that doesn't get a 300% ROAS at least. Well, a lot of times the ads are going to get better ROAS over time as it has more time to test what you got, figure out what works, what doesn't work. So if you don't give it enough time to run, you're never going to get to the promised land with that campaign. So why would you run a stop loss? Or at the very least, you should cut your losses, certainly, on your campaigns when they're not working, your ad groups when they're not working, and so forth. But a human should decide this. Oh, okay, this is ran. I actually plugged the numbers into a statistical significance calculator. We basically figured out with 5% confidence that this new ad is not going to do better than the old ad, so I'll shut it off. That's the proper way going about deciding whether you should shut something off or not. Not letting the software just arbitrarily say, oh, the return's not good, shut it off, which it doesn't factor in these nuances. Similar to that, the tracking on Facebook itself anymore is only got on a 7-day conversion window. If you're selling anything, now this isn't bad in itself, but I just wanted to bring this point up as well. If you're selling something expensive, the return that it shows you're getting inside Facebook is nowhere near your actual return, because most of the people who click through your ad are not going to buy right away. People just don't work that way. They come to your site, they check it out, they say, oh, that's interesting. And then they see a bunch of other retargeting ads, and eventually they buy. Or they say, oh, I'll buy after I talk to my wife, or I'll buy after I get paid. And so half or more of your sales occur after that first 7 days, if you really look at it from a wide enough lens, when you count all the people that came back months later and so on and so forth. So if you're saying I need a 300% ROAS, it says you got 150. The reality is you probably got 300% ROAS if you waited for all the people you've already advertised to eventually come in and buy. With time, with remarketing, and so on and so forth. with an email drip, whatever. So the stop loss tool doesn't account for any of this either. Now that said, what you could do, I will admit, is say, well, I know if Facebook says I got a 150 ROAS, I really got a 300%, so I'm going to set the stop loss. My ad doesn't get a 150 ROAS, I'm going to shut it down. You could do that. This is something else that I just wanted to point out. Given I know people that use these softwares aren't ad experts. 98% of their customer base, no offense to anybody watching this, is people who think ads is hard, they don't want to pay several grand for a decent firm, and they just want it to work. Or they hired a couple firms and they even failed because, they picked the wrong ones or they didn't pay them enough or their product isn't very good and they think the software is going to do it and it won't typically do it. And for that matter, I will tell you bluntly, with Facebook ads, the offer is 75% of the equation. You should be focusing on that first and foremost. The software is not your panacea, so to say. And for that matter, if you have a good offer, you could give that to an ad manager off of Fiverr for that matter, and you're going to make money. Focus on the offer, not on using software to fix your bad offer, because it's not going to fix a bad offer. And for what left there is to manage, you're going to be making money already with a good offer. Pay a human to look it over that's trained to, think big picture like I'm talking about in this video. So with that, and then also with that is niche retargeting. And for that matter, by the way, as a quick word on that, since 75% of what results you get on Facebook is going to be down to your offer, coming up with offers, I've got tons of material on just exactly that on this channel. If you go to my channel homepage, under the Facebook category, you can see those hooks and offers, how to put together a good offer, how to do proper campaign management yourself without software, not with these gimmicks, these softwares. You should subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as a result, because I'm coming out with tons of information about different offers that work for Facebook all the time. And then similar to that, I've got tons of information on my site, on my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog. You can find the other strategies we're using to guarantee results for clients that are firm. And you could check that out and get a lot of information on how to really run ads that make money versus using software to try to do it yourself. I wanted to also just mention that. Furthermore, if you also want somebody that just knows what they're doing, if you got something that will sell placed in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing, they're going to get to return it for you every time after even paying them. So there's no point in just trying to, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. Try something else or get with somebody who could come out with an offer for you. Because even if you sell a boring product like a custom cup, somebody who's trained at making an offer can take that cup and figure out a way to frame it so that it is exciting, so that it will produce a return. Now, sometimes it's not possible. It's just really what you have is just too garbage. With the cup, you could say, see your logo on this cup, free sample. And that will actually get the cup to sell. Whereas if you were said custom cups here, it wouldn't have worked. Just to give you one real world example where this actually, we were able to get things to work. And so what you really want to do is work with somebody on the offer first and foremost, and probably somebody who's created a bunch of these offers before, taking a product, putting it into an ad format that will actually work and or an offer form that will work. Reach out to my firm at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in that as well. We do not take fees until we can get you a certain minimum lift in your results, as I mentioned earlier in the video. We also sell ad templates. If we've already worked in your niche market, we could sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market already, and you get the same results that we've got. And we've worked in over 100 different niche markets, so the chances are quite high. We've already figured out how to get results in your market already. Similar to that, if you are just trying to figure out an offer that will work, or if your offer is good enough and you want to know if you're wasting your time or what your bottleneck in your business is, reach out to me and do a coaching call. In 30 minutes, I can tell you whether or not what you're going to have is likely to work or not, and just save you tons of time along with everything else. So I've been starting to offer that as well at our firm. So with that said, going back to the software here, the other thing that the software says that it does is niche retargeting, such as, I can retarget somebody who's been to my site on this page or this category of my website, and so on and so forth. You could do all this through the Facebook interface without the need of the software. There's a lot of the features of this software that you can just do with the interface naturally. You don't need the software for it. So I just wanted and that is the main one that applies, that I would say. But there's other ones as well. So don't be fooled by all the fancy features of the software, because if you go Google the things that it says that it can do, you could probably find Facebook has the way for you to do it anyway. And yes, it's not quite the one thing that I will admit, this and other software companies do is they make the interface look sexy. So to the average user, they're like, oh, I understand this. I understand how to do this. They made a graphical user interface that's more intuitive than what Facebook's interface is. So that's where they actually are getting their customers from. It's not that the software does anything you couldn't do on your own or do better on your own. It's just the interface. That said, that's not enough to sustain a whole software company, and that's why they fizzle out over a few years, like this one ultimately will. So, with that said, I just want to mention that you should look up what the software does before you run out and agree to run it, for that matter. But with that said, that pretty much sums up what I basically wanted to say about this software, as well as softwares like it that come out. There's other ones for Facebook ads that are doing stuff that a similar way. So, I don't want to knock the software completely. In some instances, it could be useful, but again, it's like having jackhammer put into the hands of somebody who doesn't know how to lay a concrete road or sidewalk. There's no freaking point of it. It's not going to help you do anything useful. You first have to learn the fundamentals, and after you know everything, you could use the software to automate a few of the extra things that you're doing, but for the most part, it doesn't automate very much, so therefore it's not that useful. That's the main point I wanted to get across in this video. So for you guys that are contemplating it, think that it is a panacea. It's not going to help you make money if you don't already have an offer that's good already. More than likely, or make you any more money, I should say, or certainly not make you money if you're not making money already with manual management of your account. With that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said Facebook ads was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.